Well, maybe you sensed it, that feeling that you're being watched. Well, the state has laws against stalking on the books, making it a felony.
What if police don't recognize it? And what if it's a complete stranger who's bothering you? Tonight, Joe Conger and the I-Team investigates.
Cynthia Verbeff is moving. Her home, she says, has become a house of horrors.
I feel that I've lost my mind, I've lost my life.
Incident reports from law enforcement tell the tale. Numerous break-ins at the address, vandalism to her car, her motorcycle, her computer. Verbeff believes she's being targeted.
Everything, they just went through everything.
But sheriff's detectives had little to go on because the vandals, though often destructive, stole nothing. Even from her portable safe, drilled into and torn apart, the contents, the jewelry, remained untouched. Verbeff says her troubles didn't start until she met these two men. One would become her ex-boyfriend, the other was his partner in a San Antonio pain clinic, Dr. John Hall.
Very first time I met him, we went to his house on 4th of July, and he told me that because I was already there in his house, I would be the next victim that I was going to be stalked.
Verbeff found the doctor's prophecy to be correct. She suffered months of oddness.
Coming in through the front door, and I touch the doorknob, and it just falls into pieces.
Lights left on, doors open, furniture moved, her clothes dryer disassembled. Her friends say they noticed the strange happenings. They tell the I-Team they even witnessed a gas oven left turned on.
As soon as you walk in the house, you'd smell gas in the house. So the whole house smelled from gas. So immediately turned it off and opened up the doors. But, I mean, that thing doesn't just turn on by itself. And it had been running for a good length of time.
Or the time Verbeff and a friend say they were stalked at a mall.
I saw him following us to several stores, and I would see the man close to us, looking at us.
The girls had the presence of mind to snap a photo with their phone. Verbeff says all these happenings culminated in an assault. The 39-year-old believes someone drugged the food in her home and returned later to rape her.
I know something happened to me because a woman knows.
She filed a report and was briefly hospitalized with signs of sexual assault. Dr. Hall says what Verbeff describes is known as gang stalking. Indeed, he writes about it in his book, A New Breed, Satellite Terrorism in America. Verbeff is not alone. Others in San Antonio have contacted the I-Team and described similar types of occurrences.
The urine arsenic is above normal. We shouldn't have arsenic.
Linda Johnson says someone poisoned her water supply with heavy metals in northwest San Antonio. Then there's her story about the bracelet that went missing, then reappeared. Police, she says, have stopped listening to her. And like Verbeff, she too believes she's been sexually assaulted, although she never filed a police report.
I've gone to doctors many times, and I've been to the Rape Crisis Center for counseling, yes.
Many of these so-called victims of what Hall describes as gang stalking meet up on the internet, finding comfort and information from others who say they too suffer from electronic stalking, mind control, and even rape. Loosely defined, gang stalking is where organized groups target and harass unwilling victims to the point of paranoia, leaving the victims to deal with skeptical family members and skeptical law enforcement.
This isn't stalking done by a former spouse or former boyfriend or someone that you know that's disgruntled at you, but stalking that's being done by total strangers in an organized fashion.
And some internet links take you here to the book mentioned earlier, written by Dr. John Hall.
The book is fact. It's not a book of fiction. What I've wrote about is an isolated story here in San Antonio.
Dr. Hall says it is a story about himself and the harassment and rapes his ex-girlfriends allegedly suffered beginning in 1996. Dr. Hall believes the people behind it are well-organized operatives using government satellite technology to terrorize him and other victims.
All voicing the same complaints: organized stalking, weird electronic disturbances going on in their homes. Most of the women are complaining of drugging and sexual assault. So it's a big national problem.
Verbeff bought the book, and what she read, she says, caused her stomach to turn, because within the chapters in the story, she found similarities to her own situation.
I pulled out the book and I started reading, and I'm like, oh my God, it's exactly what's happening.
It's like turning the pages of your own story.
Everything.
Remember the doors, windows, even the clothes dryer taken apart? Page 35, third paragraph, talks about reassembling appliances. The drugged food and rape? Page 52 talks of concealing Rohypnol, the date rape drug, in drinks and food. The account in Hall's book is chilling, and the I-Team uncovered some truth to his story. San Antonio police reports indicate there was a rape reported in 2007 in the same quad of condos where one of Dr. Hall's girlfriends supposedly lived. San Antonio police say the condo rape remains under investigation. And Bexar County detectives say Verbeff's assault remains open as well. And although there are some interesting connections to Dr. Hall in the book, law enforcement won't and cannot say if Dr. Hall is even a person of interest. The I-Team thought the similarities were striking and asked him.
Could you, in fact, be the person that's creating this mess for these women?
And that's actually one of the reasons why I got out of my ex-fiance's life, to make sure that they weren't victimizing her in order to get at me.
Dr. Hall says he's been targeted by the same groups. There's mention in the book of a conspiracy by the criminals and by fellow doctors. Dr. Hall says the Texas Medical Board retaliated against him for uncovering the gang stalking. The I-Team confirmed one local hospital suspended Dr. Hall's clinical privileges for 2 months in 2006. In 2007, the Texas Medical Board ordered 2 mental evaluations of Dr. Hall. The first came back normal, but a second evaluation found a probable delusional disorder and ordered psychiatric treatment. And in 2008, Hall's license was suspended, this time when he tested positive for cocaine. In the book, he explains the operatives drugged him with cocaine periodically. Dr. Hall's medical license has since been reinstated.
If you look nationwide, almost everyone that complains of this eventually gets sent to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrists don't look into the technology. They don't do any research into whether or not any of this is possible.
With his book published, Dr. Hall is taking his message nationally. He's appeared on cable TV shows.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hall.
Late night radio.
And our guest tonight, Dr. John Hall.
And even has his own radio program in the works.
There have been several people in my midst, obviously, that have been victimized, but if you look at it on a larger scale, it is a national problem as well.
Dr. Hall says the problem is gang stalking, seeking to victimize innocent women and sully his reputation for exposing them. For the I-Team, Joe Conger, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Dr. Hall's belief is that we all face some sort of terrorism in our lives that is mostly unseen and deadly. He contends criminals are tapping into our government surveillance systems to gain access to our lives and minds. As for the alleged rapes mentioned in that story, no one has been charged, but both San Antonio Police and Bexar County Sheriff's deputies say they continue to investigate.
华盛顿邮报军事周刊近日报道，五角大楼和中情局的知情者透露，2007年10月23日傍晚，伊拉克北部驻伊美军与反美武装激战正酣。美军派去的增兵用一部台式电脑般大小的仪器对准了反美武装分子，紧接着武装人员跪倒在地表示投降。2007年11月2日，在巴格达的萨德尔城，屡屡与美军发生冲突，武装分子神秘的集体弃械逃亡，丢下被他们视为生命的各型武器，一夜之间人间蒸发了。
这些只有在科幻电影当中才能看到的情景，真实的出现在了现实的人类战争当中，的确让人感到十分的惊奇。那么，脑控武器是怎样实现控制人的思想的？神秘的脑控武器又是用什么原理来工作的呢？
从原理上讲，脑控武器的杀手锏其实就是一种置换效应，让敌军士兵在外界信号的指引下，做出违背己方利益的行动，如放下武器投降等。与密集轰炸、枪炮阵阵的传统战相比，脑控武器开刀的战争可称得上是真正意义上的无声战争。 虽然没有隆隆的爆炸声，但这种沉默的声音所起到的效果同样惊人。目前，脑控武器主要分为3类：电磁波武器、声波武器及光波武器。其中，电磁波武器又被分为电场、磁场、微波及其他类型电磁波武器。声波武器包括次声波武器及超声波武器。光波武器则主要是紫外线、激光武器。在冷战时期，俄罗斯及一些西方国家曾从效果最大化方面考虑追求致命性，如让敌方士兵大脑受强烈刺激，甚至引诱敌军士兵自杀。现代意义上的脑控武器的方向是从人道主义考虑，化敌为友，让敌军放下武器投降，免遭肉体消灭。然而，脑控武器的危害和潜在威胁也引起了各国科学家的严重关注。因为这类武器一旦被滥用，那么就能在根本上控制人民。无论是在私人住宅、公众场合、工业场所，还是在公共和私人交通工具，被秘密选定的受测试者都会受到这种神秘武器发出的含有化学和生物刺激的放射性影响。时间长了，会让受测者社交孤立、免疫力下降，进而导致各种疾病甚至死亡。
1979年，苏联曾经将次声波武器、电磁辐射武器归入到了大规模杀伤性武器一类。后来，西方国家也承诺不研发这一类武器，但是由于脑控武器的非凡力量，很多国家都想研发这种技术。如同核技术一样，脑控技术如果真的成熟了，也会面临扩散的危险。如果这种技术落到了恐怖分子的手中，那么后果将不堪设想。但是如果脑控技术得到合理的利用，也将能够促进世界和平，造福于人类。
You have to feel the ray gun to believe it, and there's only one way to do that.
Engage, engage.
To me, it felt like scalding water. I've got several layers on, but the beam is still coming through my clothes, so I'm going to try some shields here. This is a piece of plywood. See how far this gets me.
Engage.
Oh! Leaves too much of your body exposed. They got me down in my feet. So I'm going to try this mattress here. It'll cover up more of my body. Okay, let's see.
Engage.
No. Oh!
Engage.
It hurts, but you can keep going.
Engage, engage.
That's enough. Some people claim they've been able to stand in the beam for 4 or 5 seconds. So how long can I take the heat? Here goes.
Engage.
1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1.
we put the spotlight on channeling high-frequency sound waves to a single pair of unsuspecting ears. Dr. Joe Pompey is an unassuming MIT grad with the powers of a superhero. He can whisper directly into the ears of patrons at the local library from way up in the balcony.
Okay, let's try the guy with the green jacket. Hey you, just be aware that we're keeping an eye on you, so you better cut it out.
Pompey achieves this seemingly superhuman feat with a gizmo he invented called the audio spotlight. It's a speaker that focuses sound at a specific target. Pompey was your average teenager always tweaking his stereo equipment, but with a twist. He had a gift for engineering and design. He made an incredible scientific breakthrough that began when he was working a summer job at an audio company.
I started to become interested in really what the shortcomings of traditional loudspeakers were.
He realized that regular loudspeakers can't create directional sound.
A loudspeaker is like the light bulb. The sound that's created really goes everywhere.
The young engineer wanted to direct sound, just like a laser pointer that you can fuse cats with. He figured out that mathematically there are only two options to make speakers act like lasers. Use gigantic speakers or only broadcast high-frequency audio waves, the same frequencies Howard Stapleton used to deter teens in Connection 2. The reason lies in the way audio waves travel through the air. Low-frequency audio waves, like bass sounds, have more time to spread out over a larger area as they travel. Short high-frequency waves reach their targets faster. So to get a speaker to beam its sound across the room, you can only use high-frequency sound. But as we learned in our first connection, high-frequency sounds frighten people away, and that wasn't what Pompey was trying to do. So he needed another option.
In order to create a sound source that's directional, either you need to limit it only to extremely high frequencies, or you need to have a loudspeaker that's tens of meters across. When you create a speaker that big, certainly the beam is that big. So it doesn't do very well when you want to target one person or one small area.
It seemed that Pompey's project was doomed.
It's very rare in science to get to a stopping point where you realize that according to the math and according to all known theory, something's just not possible.
Undaunted, Pompey's persistence resonated with the Media Lab of MIT. They accepted him into their doctoral program and directed him toward an exciting new possibility, using ultrasound waves to create his audio beam. Ultrasound waves are even shorter than Howard Stapleton's high-frequency audio in Connection 2. They're so fast and small that no one, not even a teenager, could hear them, and their tiny quick nature also makes them highly directional. If Pompey could convert ultrasound into audible sound, he'd be able to direct it like a laser beam. Several sleepless nights later, he finally made the math work. Here's his theory. Air is always moving, even in a still room. These air currents deflect sound waves as they travel. Mathematically, there was a way to accurately predict how these air currents would strike the ultrasound waves and convert them into frequencies we can actually hear. Since the ultrasound waves are highly directional, the resulting aim of the audible sound was perfect. The possibilities of this device were endless.
One of the fun things we used to do was get up on the balcony 5 stories up in our laboratory building and aim the sound down at people walking below. Sometimes we'd beam smashing glass sounds at the caterers walking by with dishes, or we'd whisper in people's ears, and it was all great fun.
Now the owner of a small company selling his invention, Dr. Pompey has grown up some and adopted a more serious tone. Well, most of the time.
Okay, I think I'll try hitting the girl with the green. Hey you, we saw what you did yesterday.
Directional sound earned Pompey a Young Innovator Award and the ear of many prominent inventors.